Rebels collectors, and welcome to another Bossk Bounty video, and welcome to episode 221 of Ask Bossk Bounty. This is the weekly Q&A series that drops every Sunday, where I take your questions from the comment section below and do my best to answer them. So if you do have a question for next week's episode and you want to be featured in the video, be sure to leave your question in the comment section of this video. If you happen to enjoy the video, always hit the like button down below, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and with all that being said, we're just going to get straight on to the first question of the week. Anthony Kofa says, I don't know, Bossk, if you've ever done an episode like this, but what about doing an episode about all of the droids in TVC and which is your favourite? So yeah, absolutely. On my channel, I do have a series of videos called Worst to First, where I rank a subset of characters, whether that be droids or clone troopers or stormtroopers. I've even done it per character with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader and things like that. I have done a video for the droids. It is a bit of an older video now. It probably needs updating because there possibly is some droids that have come out in the line since I made that video. But for me, when I made that video, K2SO was the best droid that we've had in the Vintage Collection. I love the design, the card back, and it's a great figure basically. And I love Rogue One as well. But check that video out. You'll see all of my rankings. I've kind of ruined the end of it for you of who I do rank the best, but you know, that video, amongst others, are on the channel. Damien Addington says, hello there, BB. Excellent video as always. Question for next week. If you had a favourite Star Wars playset from the old collection that you want Hasbro to remake for the new collection, what would it be? Mine is the Death Star. Thank you in advance. Yeah, so I presume you mean the Vintage Kenner line when you say old collection. And if that is the case, they made quite a few different play sets back in the Vintage Kenner days, but I do have a couple of favourites. I do like the Hoth ones that they did, but my personal favourites would be the Dagobah play set. I think the Vintage Collection could really do with a new Yoda's hut with everything that goes with that. And also the Ewok Village as well. You know, with the Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary last year, of all the things that we got, I think an Ewok Village would have been absolutely awesome. Of course, it would be quite big and therefore expensive. But yeah, those two would be standouts for me. Creative Wolf says, hello BB, question for next week. If Hasbro were to do Mon Mothma in the Vintage Collection, would you rather they did her appearance from either Return of the Jedi and or Ahsoka? I would prefer her Andor appearance because we barely have any figures from Andor in TVC. I would agree with you that we do not have enough figures from Andor in TVC, but I don't think that's enough of a reason for me to pick that version of Mon Mothma, because the one that I really want is the one from Return of the Jedi, basically. That's the one where I have other figures that can go with it, and I think she is missing from the line. And also, you know, the retro collection got her recently as well, so the fact that that card back is out there now is another reason for me that we need the Return of the Jedi version of Mon Mothma in the line. Django Camino says, question for next week. Nice video again. What is the likelihood of Hasbro producing Lamu Su, Torn Wee, as well as some various Geonosians and Viceroy Rune Carno? Cheers. I've got to say the likelihood of those is slim at best. I think there's one in there that you could really hope for, and that's Lamu Su, and that's because of her appearance in the Bad Batch. And then if you got Lamu Su, then you might be able to get Torn Wee out of that as well. However, if Hasbro did make Lamu Su from the Bad Batch in the Vintage Collection, and I think that would actually create more problems for them, perhaps more backlash, more criticism, because the characters that Lamu Su interacts with in the Bad Batch, we also don't have in the Vintage Collection. So, you know, it would definitely open themselves for criticism if they suddenly just gave us Lamu Su. And that's probably one of the reasons why she isn't out already, and I think that she's probably not on the cards for a while anyway. Bill Matzer says, hey BB, question for next week. There seems to be a big push for Rebels figures right now. We are getting 4 with the HasLab. We received Thrawn and Zeb. There is the Sabine and Chopper 2-pack, and finally the pre-order for Kanan. Comparatively speaking, we have only received Hera, Sabine and Chopper from Ahsoka. Would it not have made more sense to put the Ghost in a Rebels box, a show that featured it a lot more than Ahsoka? Why not even put a different racetrack on each side? One side could have been Rebels and the other side Ahsoka. Would you personally like to see a dual design on each side? No, I've got to be honest, I don't think the dual design is something I would like in the Vintage Collection. I think it just needs to be one. And is it a little bit weird that the box for the HasLab Ghost is an Ahsoka box and the figures inside is Rebels? Yes, it is a little bit weird, but does it bother me particularly? Not really. At the end of the day, the ship itself, the Ghost, has been decoed based on its appearance in the live action Ahsoka show, so therefore they've given the box the Ahsoka logo. Of course, the figures inside have got Rebels card backs. I can understand why people are a bit miffed about it, but it's not the first time that they've done this. If you look at the Tanti 4 playset, that's got a Star Wars logo on the outer box, and then the carded figure inside is a Rogue One figure. So it's not the first time they've done it. It doesn't really bother me that much. I'm just pleased that we're getting the Ghost. I'm going to be opening mine up. I can't wait to get it. And I'm also pleased that you can get most of, or a version of, the figures in the main line as well, so we don't have to open those cards that come with the HasLab, which is good. Channel member Shannon Patrat says, "Hey Bossk, always a great time watching your show. Question for next week. With the HasLab leak, it pretty much answered my question about the price. Now that the Lothcat is out of the bag, I'm really struggling. I'm seeing a lot of criticism from fans about the price, and usually I don't jump on that bandwagon. That said, I bit the bullet for the Ghost last year and beat myself up with buyer's remorse afterwards. I'd really love a Cantina set, but dropping $399 or $499 is really hard for me to justify for this set. What are your thoughts?" First of all, I would say that I wouldn't really worry too much about the buyer's remorse, because, I think the retail price is the cheapest you're ever going to be able to get that HasLab Ghost, and if you really don't want it when it arrives, you'll be able to sell it for a little bit more than you paid for it. So I wouldn't worry on that front. In terms of the price for the leaked HasLab Cantina, I think we kind of need to wait and see exactly what is included before we judge it, really, because at the end of the day, we're all going off speculation. Some people are saying it's got 8 figures, some people are saying it's got 6. We don't know how many are on the base price and how many are stretch goals. We don't know what the difference is between the $399 and the $499 price. We don't really know too much about it, apart from like one image on the internet. So I think it's best that we wait to see what's included, and then we can sort of judge the price. No doubt that it will probably still be overpriced, like most of the stuff that we're buying these days in anything, not just action figures. Everything we seem to buy in this world seems to be overpriced these days. But yeah, I just think it's a bit difficult to sort of complain about the price right now until we know the full details. And that's the problem with leaks in general, really. I think, they can be bad for sales sometimes, because, that impact of the reveal has gone. And this is at no fault of the collectors, by the way. This was their fault on this occasion. But the sort of impact has gone, and, people are speculating now, and people are criticising without knowing the full details. So we just need to wait and see, really. So Hasbro, you need to hurry up and reveal the thing, and tell us what's included. Channel member Blake Kemp says, "G'day Tim, question for next week. What are your thoughts on the pilot 4-pack using the Luke body for the female pilots? Personally pretty disappointed, as now I'm wondering if the pipelined Lieutenant Callahan for the E-Wing may use the same. Cheers mate." Yeah, I really hope that that's going to be a new body for her. I really do. I've got to say, that 4-pack in general, the pilot 4-pack, was completely not what I expected at all. I was expecting something either from A New Hope or whatever. The fact that they've given us some pretty cool aliens, I like that fact of it. The fact that they've used the same body for all 4 of them, regardless of whether they're male or female, is, I've got to admit, a little bit strange, and has been clearly done from a budget point of view, and it is disappointing. I would rather them just put not any females in there at all, even if they're just more random backgrounders with no names. The fact that they've used the male body is a little bit weird. But yeah, not a lot we can do about it now, unfortunately. Jadamus Prime says, "Great videos always, BB. Question for next week. Do you think after the revelation of the Cantina being the HasLab that Hasbro will do a Sandtrooper 4-pack? The newest A New Hope TK is already perfect, so all we need to do is take the pauldron from the Jedi Fallen Order Heavy TK and add a backpack to it. Give us an orange, white and 2 black pauldrons. I feel it's important because the Sandtroopers walk through the Cantina. What are your thoughts? May the Force be with you." So yeah, I think when they delayed the HasLab and then we didn't really get any other reveals apart from that pilot 4-pack, I've got a feeling that there was going to be some other supporting reveals which had to be pulled at the same time, because if they're delaying the HasLab, then they've got to also delay those pipelines or reveals or whatever they might have been, because they would then give away what the HasLab was. Unfortunately, the HasLab since then has been leaked, so we all kind of know what it is. But yes, I think a 4-pack of Sandtroopers is a very sensible thing for Hasbro to do, and also quite an easy thing for them to do. I think they may have to retool the torso, however, because they need to get a plug, socket in the back for the backpack, but you know, I can't really see that being too much of an issue. But yeah, I think that is the best way to get a Sandtrooper out. We've already got 2 Sandtrooper card backs, and at the end of the day, as you say, they do walk through the cantina, and for me, I think that's possibly something that they would have revealed at the time, and hopefully they will do so when we finally get the reveal. Dwayne Cook says, another great episode, looking forward to the HasLab announcement just to see exactly what it will be. 2-part question for next time. Next year will be the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Do you think we'll maybe see a Tarful or a Wookiee warrior being released, maybe even a 4-pack? And what figures from Revenge of the Sith would you like to see? So yeah, I've, you know, based on the fact that we got nothing for the Phantom Menace anniversary this year, I do worry for the Revenge of the Sith next year as well. So I wouldn't sort of hang your hat on them doing anything for it particularly. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Tarful would be a great one to have on card anyway. That'd be a fantastic release. And then the ones that I would like to see them do is, you know, obviously we've got all of the main characters that need updating, but also I was very jealous of the Black Series Emperor Palpatine that they had revealed. I thought he looked fantastic. He would be a great update to have. But then ones that we've never had before, like Hyade Mundi, Plo Koon would be great, and then this guy would be an amazing update, and then you could do army builders of him. He would be absolutely fantastic. The AT-RT driver is another one as well that I'd love to see them update using parts of the new clone body that we've got. But yeah, there's a few for you from Revenge of the Sith, but as I said, you know, with their record of prequel anniversary love, I think we might be disappointed, but we'll have to wait and see. Channel member Ithorian Lover says, question for next week. I've always seen Indiana Jones as a sort of hand-in-hand with Star Wars, as the Venn diagram of their fan bases, production teams and overall vibes is essentially a circle. Do you think Hasbro would ever make a TVC style action figure for line for Indy? And if so, would you collect it? They've already committed to 6-inch and retro lines, and a highly articulated 3.75-inch line should be the next logical step. I know they sort of did them for the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but those are so expensive and outdated nowadays. Thanks for all you do. Yeah, so when they did the Crystal Skull ones, they did do ones from the classic Indiana Jones as well, which was great. And I actually quite like those figures. I do have a few of them in my collection, and had they done that again with 3 3/4 when the new film came out, then I absolutely would have collected them. Instead, they did the retro collection in 3.75, which I did buy as well. And as you say, the 6-inch as well. However, I'm pretty sure that both of those lines are now finished. They're not going to be doing any more. It was just basically to, you know, get on board with the new film and things like that. I don't think we're going to be seeing any more Indiana Jones, which is a shame. They should have done 3.75 and then they could have done vehicles and all that kind of thing. But you know, unfortunately they went the 6-inch route, which isn't my thing really. Justin Vegas says, hey Bossk, I've got a question for next week's episode. I know the sequels aren't everybody's favourite cup of tea, but given that next year is going to be the Force Awakens 10th anniversary, there's another anniversary for you. What figures would you like to see in TVC? I personally would love a new Rey figure without her gloves, packed in with BB-8, and an Old Man Han and newly sculpted Chewie 2-pack. I know the Phantom Menace didn't get any new TVC figures for the 25th anniversary, and it's beyond me why Hasbro decided not to do that this year. So yeah, I mean, as you say, you know, the sequels aren't really my favourite thing that Disney have come up with. I much prefer Rogue One and The Mandalorian and Andor and things like that. However, you know, there are some figures that I feel that they should have done at the time which were no-brainers, and also some weird decisions as well. Take this guy, for example. He came out in the 3.75-inch Black Series. So this is our Old Man Han, but he's got brown hair. And, you know, he's in an outfit that you don't really see for very long. It's like, where's the classic one that the Black Series got? That's the one they should have done. And had they brought him out in that 3.75-inch Black Series line, they could have repacked him into the Vintage Collection later on, like they've done with Finn. I mean, this figure actually goes with that Finn as it goes, but, you know, not to have the sort of main character, if you like, or main older character, not in his actual outfit that he's in for the majority of the film, is just a little bit weird for me. So that's one that they should have done, the Han Solo. BB-8 as well, on card. I know it's a droid that doesn't really do much in terms of him just being like a round football, basically, with a head on top. He still would have been a good one to have on card, I feel. You know, he's, again, one of the main characters in the film. Apart from that, there wasn't really too much else that I could say that I'm desperately seeking from the Force Awakens. Cretaceous Galaxy 89 says, hello there BB, greetings from the Netherlands. I have to say your content really rocks. More than often, I first look at one of your reviews before purchasing a figure. Thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate that. He says, I already asked this question last video. I hope you can get round to it this week. I've heard you complain several times about TVC deluxe packs. Not that you should hold yourself back. Let Hasbro know that they are being stupid. Personally, I don't hate the packs, but I do discuss the way Hasbro is using them. Let's be honest. Of all the deluxe packs, only 2 are really deluxe. The E-Web Cannon and the Dark Trooper. I get the feeling that Hasbro is mainly using the packs to sell figures at a higher price point. The Jango on card actually has more accessories than the one in the deluxe pack. Do you think your irritation with the packs would be less if Hasbro used them more like, for example, the E-Web and the Dark Trooper? Give us a 212 clone on a crab droid Hasbro. Thanks for all your great content and keep up the great work. So yeah, I think there is a distinct difference between a deluxe pack and a deluxe figure. So for example, this guy here, the amazing Zeb, that's a deluxe figure, what they class as a deluxe figure. Of course, they started off those packs as deluxe figures with the Boba Fett, I think it was, and then we got those like deluxe packs, as you mentioned, with the E-Web Cannon. I think there's been a couple of others which do deserve to be called deluxe. You know, the one with the massive dog creature was, you know, that had a creature in it. That's a deluxe pack for me. But I think there is a distinct difference between a deluxe pack and a deluxe figure. And for me, a deluxe figure by itself, no extra accessories, should be on a card back with a bubble. If you have to make the bubble ever so slightly bigger, wider on the card, then fair enough, do that. But these deluxe packs with all the extra accessories, they're more like sort of, I don't want to say battle packs because you should have multiple figures in battle packs, but you know, they're accessory packs, and I don't mind those being in those boxes. I think they should come with more accessories than they do, but I don't mind them being in the boxes. But when it's just a figure like Jango Fett, he has to be on a card, man. He has to be. And, you know, as you say, it is just a way of them sort of charging more for a figure, in my opinion. Darkon633 says, another awesome Q&A. I will try this again. When Hasbro hopefully gets round to the ARF Troopers in TVC, do you think Hasbro would put the camouflage version on card while the base version be in one of the battle packs, or vice versa? So yeah, an ARF Trooper, that's essentially the same thing as an AT-RT driver, right? They're the same thing. I'm pretty sure they are. Because in this pack here, which I'm going to be reviewing soon, I showed everyone this in my latest pickups video. This is an AT-RT, but it comes with an ARF Trooper, and he drives it. So I'm pretty sure that they are the same thing. Now, when Hasbro get round to doing it, if they do it, which I'm not sure that they will, I would like them to do this one again, the one from Revenge of the Sith. And then after that, they can like repaint him as many times as they want for the 501st and the 212th. They can do the camouflage ones, whatever they want. But first and foremost, I think they should concentrate on live action. That's just my opinion. Wookie Squatch says, question for next week, what are your thoughts on troop builder packs that could feature smaller aliens such as Ewoks, Jawas and Ugnaughts? I would like to see all of those made, but since they are smaller, should they be 4 packs or maybe 6 packs if they included a lot of cool, non-specific, generic world-building accessories like crates, control panels, etc. that could be used in dioramas or something? I would be okay with 4 packs, or maybe they could have like 4 figures and a small creature such as 4 Ewoks and a Bordok, or 4 Jawas and a Womp Rat, for example. However, if the figures only come with like a gun or a spear, then I think they should have at least 6 figures in the pack for the same price as the previously released standard size figure 4 packs. I think multi-packs on smaller characters is the way to go, because collectors feel like it's not a good deal when they have to pay as much for a carded Grogu as they do for a Chewbacca. And Hasbro can produce smaller figures for less on their end and save the consumers money by cutting the distribution packaging expenses on these multi-packs. So yeah, I'm not even too sure how much cheaper it would be for Hasbro to make a smaller figure than a bigger figure. I think it comes down to more than that. I think there's, you know, paint applications and things like that to consider. For example, the Return of the Jedi Boba Fett, that figure has an extreme amount of paint operations, and if you were to scale that figure down to the same size as this figure, it would still have the same amount of paint operations, applications, whatever you want to call them. So I don't really feel like the amount of plastic necessarily brings the price down too much for Hasbro, but you know, as I say, I'm not really too clued up about that. But you know, let's just take the Ugnaught for example. If you were to put 4 of these in a 4 pack, and they looked exactly the same, then yes, then that should be, you know, cheaper, because you've just got one figure 4 times. Same paint, same head, same everything. However, collectors are not going to be happy with that. You know, they'll want different Ugnaughts. You know, we've got 2 different ones here. Both of these came out in the Legacy Collection. And I probably wouldn't be happy if we just got 2 of him and 2 of him in a 4-pack. I'd want all 4 to look slightly different from one another. And that's a problem that Hasbro have, essentially. I think when it comes to troopers, stormtroopers, things like that, you could just bung 4 of those in a pack, paint them slightly differently, or give one a pauldron, whatever it might be, and, you know, that is going to save them money. I don't really necessarily think the size of the figure is going to necessarily save them that much money. I really don't. But I could be completely wrong about that. But yes, in general, I think, you know, if you are going to do smaller figures like Ewoks, then yes, they should definitely come with different spears and bows and arrows and all that kind of good stuff. Maybe the baby Ewok. Throw those in there as well, just to give us a better value proposition. I do apologise, but I'm losing my voice a little bit, but we will get to Natboy's question. He says, hey Bossk, potential controversial take, but I feel the current Star Wars toy scene is a little bleak and it is too focused on collectors and adult fans, to the point it's damaging the products aimed at kids. I grew up on the Saga Collection and the Revenge of the Sith figures, and I feel like a good chunk of those figures hold up to this day. Whereas now it feels like we either get an expensive and possibly delicate collector's item or an underwhelming 5 POA range. I think there should be some middle ground between these two, with figures that can last and have decent articulation but aren't necessarily TVC standard. I see a lot of people complain about anything else taking away from TVC, and I honestly think that the amount of focus might end up doing more damage long term than alternate options. What are your thoughts on this? Love the videos. I think it just essentially comes down to where the market's at, and I honestly believe that kids aren't the same as they were even back in 2006 when the Saga Collection was around. That's nearly 20 years ago. There's lots of different things for their attention these days. You know, iPads, phones, consoles, all those kinds of things are eating up their time, and maybe they don't have time for playing with action figures anymore. And this might be what Hasbro's thinking, because at the end of the day, they've purposely moved these kind of things to collectors. We've got the Black Series. They created that for the adult collector, 100%. They're saying, you know, here's a larger figure, highly detailed, highly articulated. It comes in a, you know, plush red and black box. It's going to cost you more money, but, you know, this is the best of the best. And now we as TVC collectors expect that same quality as well. I think just bringing out a 3.75 inch line that's, you know, not the quality of TVC, but not as bad as 5 POA, I don't see who's going to buy that. I really don't. They've tried selling the 5 POA stuff to the kids. They've tried Mission Fleet, the smaller stuff, and I don't think any of it sells really that well. That's why they keep changing it. You know, they can't really decide what they're doing, like 5 POA, dumbed down figures, you know, the 3-inch Mission Fleet, let's try that with vehicles. That didn't work. Let's go back to just figures in, you know, cheaper figures or whatever. I just think when it comes to Star Wars at the moment, unless they get an absolutely slam dunk film out there with loads of product, mainstream, you know, it goes completely mainstream, then I think the market for Star Wars is adult collectors at this point in time. And that's just my opinion. I could be completely wrong about that, but I also think that might be Hasbro's opinion. You know, they are pushing this stuff towards adult collectors, and, you know, there's not really too much for kids, is there? So maybe that sort of area of fan, collector, kid, maybe that just doesn't exist anymore. Alright then guys, that's it for this week's episode. I do apologise for slightly losing my voice, but thanks for watching anyway. And if you have a question for next week's episode, be sure to leave it in the comments section below of this video. And I want to say a big thank you to my Patreon supporters and channel members for supporting the channel in the way that you do. It is very much appreciated. Thanks so much for watching everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.